Hi guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you a quick introduction post because I'm going to be joining in with the Fantasy Favourites Read-a-thon for 2016. Now the Fantasy Favourites Read-a-thon is actually hosted by Inge and Ali from Of Wonderland combined with me. This is a read-a-thon that we did last year and we enjoyed it a lot, so we decided to do it again this year. Let me give you a quick lowdown of what it includes and how you can join in. So the readathon is taking place from the 11th to the 17th of July. You've got a whole week to do as much reading as you can in the summer, and as well as that we're going to be hosting it across Instagram, YouTube and blogs. So if you're part of any of those you can join in. All links can be linked to my blog posts that are coming and Ali's and Inge's book posts that will also be coming. And yep, if you want more information I'll include the link to the sign up post below in the comment section so you can join in if you want to read with us. As well as that, we also feature 3 fantasy books. Don't feel the pressure to read a fantasy, you can read anything, but if you want to, it's nice to be in the spirit and read a fantasy. And there's 3 main series that we feature and you can read any book in those series. Inge will be hosting the Percy Jackson series, Ali will be hosting the Throne of Glass series, and I'll be hosting the Grisha trilogy. So that's what's on the agenda. Now let's get started with the introductory questions that I need to answer. The first one is who are you, but I don't think I'm really going to answer that because I already introduced myself at the beginning of the video. I will say, what will I say? I've got nothing to say. Who am I really? That is the true question. So why are you joining the readathon? I'm joining the readathon because it's in my last week of school. I want to get into the summery mood by relaxing, and as well as that I'm kind of hosting, so it'd be a bit rude if I didn't join in. I had so much fun doing it last year and I discovered some really good books, so I'm excited to be reading some more with you guys in the coming month. Which books are you intending to read? And I think I am being very over ambitious because when I looked at the fantasy books that are priority of my to be read, they are all massive. When I say massive, I mean this massive. So I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to get through this hunk of books, but the aim is for me to at least read 100 pages of each and every one, which answers one of the later questions. So I'm just going to tell you which books I'm going to start reading, because the biggest thing about me and big books is that I'm always worried about starting them. So I think if I read 100 pages of each one in the readathon and then hopefully progress further in them if I have time to, if I possibly can, then maybe I can finish maybe one of them and get further in the others. So the first book that I'm hoping to start is Ruin and Rising by Leah Bardugo. I know that I am the one who is hosting the Grisha trilogy. I'm basing it on the first book for those who are just reading it for the first time, and I've read all the books in the series except for this last one, so I want to finish it off. Likewise, when it comes to me in series, I've started the Lunar Chronicles, which we actually read last year for the Fantasy Favourites Read-a-thon that I hosted. I binge read all 3 of them, and since then I haven't read another Lunar Chronicles book. I've got this huge finale and I want to start reading it because I just love the characters in this book. Then I want to start reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Harry Potter and me, I didn't read them as a child. I started reading them last year. I read the first 3 and I haven't loved them. Don't hate me. I haven't loved them, I haven't hated them. I've kind of enjoyed hating on them though, which is not good. But I'm going to try and keep going. People say that things pick up with the 4th book, so let's hope it does for my own sake, because I don't want to be the only one who's not a big fan of Harry Potter. It's a pretty lonely world out here. And the last one I want to start is Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. I read A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin 2 winters ago and I really loved it, but it's so big and the next book is just even bigger than the first one and it gets really intimidating when you just look at it. And I don't even know if I'm going to manage 100 pages of this. This is 100 pages of this book. This. Imagine how big it is. So I'm going to hopefully start reading this one. It makes me really nervous, but I'm really excited because I do really love the books. This leads me on to the next question, which is how many pages are you hoping to read? Well, you already know, 100 pages of each, and I just hope that I'll be able to get through all of that. What's my favourite thing about the fantasy genre? I think my favourite thing about the fantasy genre has to be the fact that anything can happen and that all the creatures exist. I love the creatures that appear in fantasy. Dragons, mermaids, fae, fairies, just anything's out there, and I absolutely love it because it's just amazing and creative, and I just love learning more and more about these creatures and how different authors take a different creature, put a different spin on it. I love that, so that's what I really like about fantasy. The next question is, what fantasy books do you always recommend? Now, I am incredibly lazy, so I'm not going to pull these off of my shelves, but I really recommend the Lunar Chronicles, which I read last year. I know I haven't finished them, but I really do recommend them, and I also recommend Percy Jackson, which is a series that Inga is featuring this year. I absolutely love them. They're funny, they're absolutely hilarious, they're creative, they're adventurous, they are basically fantasy goals. Rick Riordan just did everything right, and it's Greek mythology, and it's modern and it's crazy and it's wonderful. Don't judge it based on the movies, because the movies were rubbish in comparison. They may be enjoyable as movies that stand on their own, but it's not the same. So I highly recommend Percy Jackson and the Lunar Chronicles if you're reading a good fantasy. Which fantasy book are you absolutely dying to read? Basically all ones that were on this TBR, because they were the urgent ones in my TBR list, the ones that I wanted to read the most. Especially A Clash of Kings, because I told myself I wasn't going to start watching Game of Thrones until I'd read the whole series. It's a massive series. I don't know how smart I was in saying that, so I'm really looking forward to reading it, getting one more book out the way, and one step closer to watching the show. Last question is, if you could live in one fantasy world, which one would you choose? And I'm gonna have to go with... You know how hard this question is? I don't know, anyone that has dragons in it. Dragons are always good. I was thinking of The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Poloni, but only a few people get to have dragons in that series, so I'm not really sure if I'm going to go with that. I think I'm going to go with that. So The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Poloni, as long as I can get my own dragon. Yeah. So that's all the answers for this introduction. I hope you join us as well. The more people reading, the more fun it is. I'll see you next week with another video. Goodbye. From July... Oh goodness. I don't even remember. Wait for it, wait for it. Hoping to read... Yes? Oh. When your mum calls you away from a video to hand you food, I'll get back to this soon. Phone, phone, phone. Tell me what the next question is. Why did you open to a new tab?